sure that the Christian leaders and role models in your life, make sure that they stand on the firm foundation. They stand on God's truth, because God tells us in the Bible about false prophets and people that speak God's word, whether it be on TikTok, in church, wherever, on TV. Make sure that you pray for discernment, that, okay, what I'm hearing, is it the truth? I had one time before somebody said something in church, and it was a priest, and it just didn't settle well with me. It didn't settle well with my spirit, and I kept thinking about it, and it kept playing over and over in my head, those words. And I'm like, that's not what God says. And I'm like, it just don't settle well with me. I don't think that's right. And, I talked to my mom about it, and she was like, I don't agree with that either. Well, I prayed about it and asked God to show me the truth and help me to understand, what was said. And he helped me to find it right there in the Bible of what his truth was, God's truth. And I don't know if the priest, understood, or I'm really not sure, but I just know that sometimes people do misinterpret the Bible. So that's why it's so important to pray for discernment from God, that he can help us to understand what we're listening to. And if it's not his truth, that, maybe might feel uneasy, like I don't agree with that. We don't have to agree with everything just because they're a Christian. So make sure you're praying about that. And whenever you have your ears open and you're listening, make sure that that you remember God's truth and, what he says in the Bible. And make sure that you're opening the Bible for yourself and finding out for yourself. Don't take other people's words on it, because we are human. We're made of flesh. We're sinners, and we make mistakes all the time. And I really think my priest at the time was, he just misunderstood. He misinterpreted what the Bible said. And, he's preaching it to a whole congregation, but it was a misinterpretation. And so I just think we need to stay in prayer, stay in God's word, stay rooted in the word, because there will be so many false prophets, so many people telling you half-truths or twisting the truth. But remember, God's truth is the only truth that truly matters. So we need to live his truth, not our own truth. We like to twist it sometimes to make it feel more easy, and so we can feel like, oh, life is rainbows and butterflies, but it's not. It's not. I wish it could be, but it's not. We have to live by God's standards. We have to live by God's truth and God's word, no matter how uneasy, how uncomfortable it makes us feel, because as a Christian, we won't be comfortable. We won't live an easy life. We will live a blessed life, and we will be fulfilled. And I do believe that God has so much more waiting for us when we get to heaven. But for right now, we may have to suffer a little bit sometimes. It might be uneasy at times. But just remember, just stay rooted in his word, because the days are getting dark. So just stay rooted in his word and hold on to his truth.